welcome back. We're going to switch gears now and talk about something that I find very bizarre. I know we did wake up sometime this year to news about a coup in Turkey. The president there, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, was attempted to be taken out of office. It lasted for, I think, just over 24 hours, and order was restored in Turkey. And then a massive sort of manhunt commenced after that, where, I don't know, tens of thousands of Turkish citizens were arrested as accomplices to the coup. But one thing that I found very bizarre that a lot of Nigerians didn't even think of was the fact that 50 Nigerian students were also arrested around the same time, and they were detained and had been held in detention for months without almost nobody making any moves to even find out why, before even talking about releasing them. It's been a very traumatic experience. I mean, for anybody who even hears it, I mean, first of all, we know what Turkey is all about. We know how hard the country stands with regards to issues like this. And then knowing that these foreigners were held by the Turkish government for an attempted coup must have been unbelievable. And there's just so much to talk about and to understand why this happened and how Nigerians were not even able to intervene in the first place. I have here with me Ahmed Agbabiaka to help me dissect this.
Thank you so much.
It's a very, like I said, bizarre story. First of all, why would Nigerian students be planning a coup? Is there any basis to that? Let's start with that.
Well, I think this is one very important part in the foreign relations of this country. It's almost ground zero. Nigeria lacks that diplomacy to tackle issues like this, and it all has to do with the kind of seriousness we attach to our citizens outside this country. You know, there is no basis for any government out of Nigeria to detain Nigerian nationals on any ground. But you see, the issue of coup is one very serious issue. You know, everybody's talking about democracy. Everybody talks about Nigeria being a nascent democracy, a growing democracy. But in a situation where, you know, nationals of that particular country, that is Turkey, you know, lecturers, judges, military personnel, lecturers per se, for instance, were very much involved with the purported mastermind of the coup, that is Gula Fethullah, you know. So most of them were arrested. Now, in the course of the intelligence, you know, the guest before me talked about intelligence, you know, intelligence agency in some countries. You know, there were intelligence that, well, this particular national of Turkey that were invited, the academics that were invited, had very cordial relationship that are suspect, you know, with Nigerian students studying over there, especially PhD students and some of them. You know, so call logs, interactions, and all that were vetted, and some of them that felt suspected. We have over 10,000 Nigerian students studying over there, most of them on scholarship, on Turkish government scholarship. You know, so these people were now invited. You know, the Nigerian students were invited, those who were found suspect. They were invited, you know, and they came around. In the course of investigation, some way or another, according to their law, you need to be detained, you know, for some particular number of hours. If nothing is found, you'll be allowed to go. Yeah. So those are some of the things that actually happened. But, you know, the noise and everything actually went here and there, and everybody started shouting with little or no response from our own government.
How long were they held for, first of all?
You know, it depends. Some of them were held for a day, some of them 24 hours. You know, they just called upon and released. Some of them 2 days, some of them 2 weeks. And some of them were about to be deported to Nigeria, you know, after they couldn't give good explanation about what is going on between they and the lecturers, you know, so they're about to be deported. So the detention thing is actually something that was blown out of proportion because of the lack of the seriousness, you know, from our own government, especially the embassy over there. It was more or less docile, and the information wasn't out. The only information we get are from the students that felt victimized. You know, in the process of getting them across, there was this fear, you know, is a coup, and they knew the consequence of you know, participating in a coup or being suspected to be part of it.
So you're saying, I mean, we have an ambassador to Turkey, a Nigerian ambassador to Turkey.
Yes.
We have a Minister of Finance, a Minister of Foreign Affairs,
yes.
Geoffrey Anyama.
Yes.
We have a diaspora office, I think, headed by Abike Dabiri as well.
Yes, in the presidency.
Between the three of them, you're saying nothing was done.
Something was done, but very late.
What was done, and when was this done?
Well, an interaction was now established with the government, of Turkey here. As at the 6th of July, there was a protest, by students here in Nigeria and some other bodies here and there. And it was there and then it was learned that, well, there are still pockets of interaction between Nigerian government and the embassy over here. Between Nigerian embassy and the Turkish embassy and the Nigerian government foreign affairs. That actually wasn't that strong until the Turkish embassy, ambassador now took it up. Well, we have to settle this. Let the information come out. Diplomatic ways of getting information from their country. One way or another, intelligence information that were shared with student leaders and some of the representatives and even parents of affected students here in Nigeria. So it took a very long time, considering the trauma that someone that is not in his own country was facing. 24 hours could be a very long time. So I think that is the aspect that we actually lagged behind. That is the foreign affairs of this country and those that are in charge of our diplomacy. So it calls for concern that actually happened.
What do you think? What do you think was the reason for that? I mean, I can't, for the life of me, imagine. Let me even go really wild. 50 American students being held, and the whole of the world would not be quivering at just the fact that they were held for even a day. Everybody would have known about it. We may not have the sort of media that Americans have, but at least Nigerians should have known. What was the reason for this foot dragging, do you think? Do we have too many issues in Nigeria that we tend to forget when things like this happen? I mean, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, for one, yes, that's his constituency. It's something he should have taken up, isn't it?
Yes, well, I think it all boils down to the kind of seriousness that we attach to the nationals of Nigeria, home and abroad. So I think that is just what I could pinpoint to that counts for it. We do not take our diplomacy, our diplomatic relations with other countries very serious. For instance, after the coup, there are establishments by the alleged plotter of the coup, Gulen Fethullah, that there was a strong request, diplomatic request from Turkish government that there are institutions in Nigeria that carries Turkish names, that do not belong to Turkish government, but that people might be deceived, to think that they belong to Turkish government. Then it was a request from Turkish government that, hey, that name is sacrosanct. We want those names changed, or you shut down those institutions. There was daily dialing, for a very long time, considering the seriousness and the reason why the Turkish government was actually, this is about international security, terrorism, anything could have happened as a result. So the government of Nigeria for a very long time was dilly-dallying and did not effect that. So you could see it might just be one of those things that other countries will see and be like, hey, Nigeria, we do not respect our diplomatic our friends, international friends, on bilateral issues. And if that is the case, then what about your citizen? But again, I'm not saying that is what really happened. The reason why that happened is that there was an effective means. It was not just Nigerians. Other African students were also part of it. So, but when they were being vetted, after the vetting and you found not to be involved, this is cool. Over 10,000 people were arrested, about 3,000 judges, 10,000 soldiers, teachers, a whole lot of people were arrested. So, but the part of the Nigerians that were part of it, there was a cry from over there by Nigerian students studying over there that something is not being done. We saw what other nationals, the ambassadors and people from other countries were doing for their own country. They were coming to stand for them. But on our own side, nothing happened. Until a very long time after, interventions here and there, before you started seeing our own officials coming up to, It
would really be nice to find out from the Minister of Foreign Affairs or Honorable Abike Dabiri, to hear from them and understand, what their position was and is currently. I mean, we also reached out to the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, but he couldn't make it to the show today, hopefully maybe in subsequent editions. Well, I want to find out what's the situation with the students now?
Well, everything is perfect. Everything is settled now. We established contact with them, and right now, they are going about their duties. Their academics, fine and good. No intimidation, no victimization whatsoever from any quarter. So I think that relationship has been well established. And I think Nigerian government...
Between who now?
Yeah, between the students and their host. Okay. The student over there and their host. And we're getting updates on what is actually happening from the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria. So I think that has been settled and has been...
What about with the schools here?
With the schools here, well, we need to really find out. You know, something else is going out. Something else is in the minds of. We're not talking about the government, the government as a whole. The government of President Muhammadu Buhari is one very serious one. You know, the special assistant on youth and students, Alhaji Nasir, was also very much touched about this, and he was very much involved, and he was even ready to be part of sponsor Nigerian student leaders down to Turkey, you know, to observe for themselves what is actually going on, to set this confidence building. And I think the Turkish ambassador also did something very great to that regard. So I think we, as it stands now, the relationship has been well established, and I think we can move on from there. So right now, a whole lot of students are still being given scholarship. Many of them on scholarship down to Turkey for studies, further studies. And as you know, Turkey is one very advanced country, you know, compared to some other European countries. Yeah. So I think
arrests still being made, not even just for Nigerians now, with regards to the coup.
No. As it is right now, everything concerning the coup, as regards or as it concerns foreign students, has been laid to bear. You know, the intelligence gathering and everything has been done, and those that were found culpable have been arrested. But I don't think Nigerian students had anything to do with that coup. Nothing at all. That was established by their security agent over there.
I just remember, I mean, when this brick and bricks idea came up and how Nigeria was trying to get into it, and then we started hearing about mints. It was Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Turkey. You know, and it never really took off. But it's supposed to be this committee of four countries who have amazing population, and you know, have a GDP that's obviously growing.
And I think something very.
I wonder if it has affected our bilateral relationships with them.
No, it hasn't. In fact, I was privy to some information in my conversation with the ambassador sometimes last week. There are foreign nationals now, from businessmen, you know, that are really serious investors that are coming to Nigeria, that have established, you know, rapport, especially with the Minister of Power, Works and Housing. They are coming here to tackle the issue of power, you know, by coming to establish their company for the manufacture of transformer, meter, electricity meter, and all that. And I think that is a good one. That is something that we should look up to, and something we should try to establish. Beyond mint, I think bilateral relation is one very important aspect that Nigeria should look into, and let's establish it. Let's go beyond this sourcing for funds or you know, from countries, you know, gifts, grants here and there, that at the end of the day will end up in the pockets of some few people. Right now, this is one very big event or big issue, considering the kind of role that electricity or power plays in the development that we crave for in this country. So if people are coming in to come and establish it here, not to establish somewhere outside Nigeria that we're going to import, it's going to create jobs, going to create, you know, growth the economy for us, and I think we need that as much as.
Is there any way of letting? I mean, does the Foreign Affairs Ministry as a whole now understand the gravity of what happened going forward? What is their position right now?
Yes, I think they finally they got themselves very much involved in it now. I think they are very much aware and abreast of the situation. Anyway, the case has died down. You know, towards the tail end, or somehow they came in and, you know, they participated in some of the processes, and they've met with some of the students. And I think there's this short documentary they are trying to run, you know, concerning the issue. But it actually came
trying to run the ministry?
Yeah, on the national TV, you know, the federal government TV, you know. And, well, it's a good one that finally they've been part of it. But I think it is very important that that trauma that the students go through, they are students and trying to study outside this country, to pursue academic, to move on the academic pursuit outside this country, and the first day or second day, just the thoughts of it, of being invited by the police, is one very great thing. That at that point we should be very proactive if stuff like that happen. So I think that is where.
I mean, I know you said that President Buhari is very serious with government and everything, but I don't know, is there not a part of you that wonders? I mean, in situations like this, I can picture off the top of my head now 10 world leaders who I know, if they were found in a situation, would definitely have held a press conference in their state house, not even delegating now to a media assistant or to the minister. I'm talking about the president themselves.
Yes.
Because these are 50 nationals. I mean, it takes one, most times, for heads of states to speak up. Don't you think that should have happened?
Well, it should have happened. But I think, again, the president can be everywhere. I'm not taking brief for him. The president can be everywhere. Those that are involved, that have been assigned, that have been given those assignments, you know, a whole lot of bureaucracy, you know, in the foreign affairs should be the ones perhaps to brief the president or to do some of these things. And I think it's very important that that should be looked into moving forward. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for being here today. We are very grateful about the fact that things have ended very well.
Yes.
We're going to take a break now. I'll be right back. Please stay with us.